Hello, everyone. My name is Danny. And this review is going to be for the movie called Overcomer. This is a 2019 film. It is rated PG. It's directed by Alex Kendrick, and it stars Alex Kendrick, Priscilla Shirer, and Cameron Arnett. Runtime is about 2 hours. The description: life changes overnight for Coach John Harrison when his high school basketball team and state championship dreams are crushed under the weight of unexpected news. When the largest manufacturing plant in town suddenly shuts down and hundreds of families begin moving away, John must come to grips with the challenges facing his family and his team. Urged by the school's principal to fill in and coach a sport he doesn't know or like, John is frustrated and questioning his worth until he crosses paths with a student struggling with her own journey. From the creators of War Room, Courageous, and Fireproof, this inspiring family film dares to leave you filled with hope, inspired to dream, and ask the question: what do you allow to define you? This is Overcomer. Well, this is probably going to be one of my more real movie reviews because I cried my way through this movie. I have some Kleenex with me if need be, if I get emotional. Um, I, as a man of God and a representative of the church for a lot of years, I've worked as a custodian for 4 years at a kind of a mega Lutheran church in the town next to me, and I moved on from that. But I've always been part of choir. I've directed bell choir. I've done all kinds of things with the church, and most recently, I have a group that travels around within about 30 miles of my hometown here, and we perform at all kinds of churches and everything. So every time a movie like this comes out, obviously, it's a staple, and it's something I'm going to see, and and plan to see, and obviously, if it has any kind of good message, like War Room or Courageous or Fireproof, speak to a certain people, and, so this one can speak to people who have gone to smaller schools or live in smaller towns. Especially in Iowa, people know that a lot of the smaller towns over the last 60 years have consolidated, and communities have you know become hurt by having to go to another area just to go to school or send their kids there, and then it takes longer to get home and all that stuff. So it hurts farmers, it hurts towns. It's a real thing. So this is about a school, I think in the South, but same situation, smaller town. And as soon as something happens that hurts the town, it hurts the school. And I'd say one of the weakest points of this is at the end. We don't get to really find out, what happens to the school. Does it, revive itself? Does, something happen to revive the town to help people continue to go to the school, and the sports teams end up thriving again? Or is this movie kind of the school's last hurrah or something? So that's not to give away anything at the end, but it just kind of seems like a little bit of a letdown at the end where we don't really get to find out what happens to the school. So that's my kind of the worst thing, really, is the ending. So excuse me, I knew I would need the Kleenex. Um, just amazing things about this movie are having a spouse that you can pray with. I know it's a movie, I know it's dramatic effect, but there are a lot of people out there that have found their partner in life, And when things do come up and hardships are being endured, they do pray together. And I've never had anybody like that, and I hope to find someone like that eventually. And it's tough, watching movies like this, knowing that there are couples like that out there, and even they are going through some really tough times financially and otherwise. And you have normal, frustrations with children and everything, so nothing is perfect in this world. So when you're looking at your life, try and realize that, that I know this is a movie, but it's something to think about. That people that are pastors at churches, their lives are not perfect. They are not perfect people. I've seen this firsthand. I could tell you all kinds of stories. But it's something to think about yourself. Not that, us normal people are, hopeless, because we do have the Lord. He is watching over us. And He will guide our decisions. And this movie just kind of paints a picture of that. And I think that's part of the reason why I was probably crying, because I could tell it has other suggestive, messages throughout the thing. Um, I'll get to the sports thing here. It's really weird watching a movie where, like, it's not all about, the end of the season. We've had, volleyball movies, we've had football movies, we've had major league team movies, all about, how are you going to win the championship at the end of the season. And this movie is just not about that. It's not. It never really comes up. And this movie is about so much more and so many different things that when it starts out with basketball and it has happened what it has happened, then the movie turns toward, participation and bettering yourself and making progress and practicing continually and making yourself a better person, and just a lot of different things. There's so many messages mixed in that you can probably get whatever you want out of this. You can probably get the message that you think that would pertain to you out of all this different messages that this movie, endures. So I think the sports part of this is, it has the running, and it has our kind of main student character being very good, and when everybody else around her has funny lines to say, it is very enjoyable, it's very funny, but it also lets you know how hard running really is. And so when the end comes, it's kind of a surprise, because really the movie is not about any kind of winning. So it's just not important. It's not the main subject of this movie. I did want to say about this movie with the principal and the grandmother. You'll know who those are if you watch this. That they're kind of side characters, obviously, but they play a huge role in this. And it was a weak point of the movie with the grandmother towards the end, because we kind of get mixed emotions with her, if she's really as horrible as she's being painted out to be, because she's a good actress, she's an older lady, she knows how to act, and then she gets this kind of weird monologue and prayer time that kind of confuses you. So I can't say it was the smoothest transition of a character I've ever seen, and I just wish it would have been handled better. It kind of seemed a little awkward. And with the principal, she had a lot to do in this movie, obviously being, at a school functions and school sports and all this kind of stuff happening to the school, and her being in charge of it. I'd have to say she got a little too involved for my liking. She has a couple things happen where I don't know if those kind of conversations would go on with a principal. I mean, it's a Christian school, but it doesn't seem like even principals of a Christian school should be able to get so involved. I don't know. I just kind of worry about the logistics of a couple of things that got said. But I do appreciate her major scene. It is very emotional. It is very effective. It is one of the staples of this movie, and it will be remembered. It was very nice. So, I guess I just want to say otherwise to anybody who watches this review that, when you're watching movie reviews and when you're watching movies that are of this kind and just everything that you're watching, try and think of other people a little bit. We're all kind of going through stuff. I learn that more and more on a daily basis, that the people I have interactions with, these people, what I'm saying to them could really ruin their day if I decided to complain about something, or if I'm at a restaurant and I complain about the service, it could really ruin somebody's day. So just try and practice being kind, and focus on who you are as a person. Are you the person that really wants to yell at somebody in traffic? Are you really do you really want to be the person that looks down on somebody that's sitting on the sidewalk as you go past the coffee shop that you're spending $20 for a small coffee on? I just think about who you are. This movie presents the question, who are you? And it gets very, very real. And there's a line said in this movie that I've said out loud to somebody else before, and it's very harsh, and it's very real. And if you really think that about somebody else, it's a real opinion. I mean, it's you got to be pretty convinced about your opinion of another person to say that about another person. I'm not going to say the line, but there's a line in the movie that is that real. And when they say it in this movie, it's effective. And when I said it in real life, I meant it. And so, it gets you thinking about who you are. It's a really good question, because we all need to think about who we are in our lives, what we're doing on a daily basis, what makes us bad, what kind of things are we doing that we know we shouldn't be doing, and what kind of things are we saying to others that we should be regretting. So if you're a Christian or not, if you go to church every week or not, I would say this movie is for you, because everybody can get something out of it, and it at least gets you thinking about what you're doing on a daily basis. Is it correct or not? And then it gets into, having a spouse that is supportive. It gets into, being an example for your kids. It gets into, being a model at school. And it gets into, using your job to serve the Lord. That's why you have a job. So I'm totally going to give Overcomer an A. I, appreciate it so much. I want to give it an A+. So I just hope you make the time to watch this. If you haven't seen War Room, Courageous, Fireproof, Facing the Giants, or Flywheel, if you haven't seen any of those movies, or just a couple of them or one of them, try and see all of them. They all have messages. They all are made by this Alex Kendrick and his company and his church, and a lot of it is volunteer work that make these movies. It's just amazing how it goes. So totally try and buy into all these movies. The latest one is Overcomer, and I give it an A+. Thanks a lot, guys. My name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other videos, try and get something to watch. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. And enjoy your movies, and God bless. Thank you.